On a hot afternoon in Lagos, a taxi driver decided to give up his seat for an elderly woman. On an ordinary day in Lagos, Nigeria, Aid was waiting for passengers when he saw a poorly dressed old woman struggling to hail a cab. Even though his shift was about to start, he felt compelled to help her. So Aid decided to let her take his seat and wait for another customer. But soon he regretted his choice. After waiting for a long time, Aid noticed a small wooden box on the ground. Then he thought that maybe it belonged to the old woman and decided to return it to her. But when he did, she told him that she had lost a very important family heirloom and promised him a generous reward if he found it. Meanwhile, Aid was going through a tough time. His car was old and kept breaking down, and he needed money to fix it. So when he heard the old woman's request, he thought it might be a chance to make some money. However, he knew that he shouldn't take advantage of her and decided to make a reasonable deal. He promised to find her box and return it within a week in exchange for half of whatever was inside. The woman agreed to the deal and Aid began his search. He asked his friends and family if they had seen the box, but no one had. Just when he was about to give up, his son suggested that he check the local market. Aid remembered that the old woman had mentioned that she had lost the box in the market, so he decided to go there and search for it. At the market, Aid was overwhelmed by the hustle and bustle. There were vendors selling fresh produce, shoppers looking for bargains, and children playing around. Aid took a deep breath and started looking for the box. He checked under stalls and behind baskets, but it was nowhere to be found. Just when he was about to give up, he saw a group of children playing with a box that looked familiar. He walked over and asked them if they had found a lost box. The children said that they had, and Aid was overjoyed. He took the box from them and checked it to make sure it was the same one. When he was sure that he had found the right box, he returned it to the old woman. She was so grateful that he had found it and paid him the reward that she had promised. Aid was overjoyed. He had not only made some money, but he had also helped someone in need. As Aid drove away, he couldn't help but smile. He had started the day feeling frustrated and hopeless, but now he was on his way to making things better for himself and his family. He knew that the money wasn't everything, but it was still a good start. Aid had always been a kind-hearted person, but he often found it hard to make ends meet. He worked long hours as a taxi driver, but his earnings were barely enough to cover his expenses. He had two children to take care of and a roof over their heads. He was desperate for a change. One day, Aid met an old woman who was struggling to cross the street. Without hesitation, he stopped his taxi and helped her. The old woman thanked him profusely and told him that she was on her way to visit her sick grandson in the hospital. Aid felt bad that he hadn't stopped to help her earlier and asked if there was anything he could do to help. The old woman told him that she needed to get some medicine for her grandson, but she didn't have enough money. Without thinking twice, Aid offered to pay for the medicine. When they arrived at the hospital, Aid went to the pharmacy to buy the medicine while the old woman went to see her grandson. When he returned with the medicine, the old woman wasn't there. Aid looked her on and saw that she had left a note for him. In the note, she apologized for leaving without saying goodbye, but explained that she had to go see her grandson urgently. She also told him that she didn't have enough money to pay him back, but promised to give him something that was very precious to her. She left the money for the medicine on the counter and disappeared. At first, Aid was disappointed that the old woman had left without saying goodbye, but when he read her note, he understood that she must have been worried about her grandson. He knew that he had done the right thing by helping her, but he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed that he wouldn't be getting any money to fix his car. The next day, Aid went to the hospital to look for the old woman. He wanted to give her the money back since she never showed up. But when he arrived, he was surprised to find her sitting in the lobby with a small wooden box in her hands. Aid approached her and asked if she was the old woman from the previous day. She looked up and smiled warmly. "Yes, it's me," she said. "I wanted to give you this." She reached out and handed him the small wooden box. "I don't have much to give you, but this is something that's very precious to me. I hope you like it. Aid was confused. What do you mean? You said you didn't have anything to give me, he said. The old woman chuckled. Well, I do now. Open the box and you'll see. Aid hesitated for a moment, but then he opened the box. Inside the box, Aid found a pile of old coins and some pieces of jewelry. He picked them up and examined them closely. Are these real? He asked. The old woman nodded. They're ancient coins that were passed down to me from my grandmother. They're not much, but they're all I have to give you. I know it's not a lot of money, but I hope it helps. Aid was shocked. He couldn't believe that the old woman had given him such a valuable treasure. He looked up at her and asked, Why? Why would you do this for me? The old woman smiled. Because you helped me when I needed it the most. You're a kind-hearted man and I knew you would take care of my coins. I trust you. Aid was moved by the old woman's generosity. He knew that she didn't have much herself, but she had given him her most prized possessions without hesitation. When Aid looked closely at the jewelry and coins, he realized that they were much more valuable than he had first thought. The coins were ancient and rare, and the jewelry was made of pure gold. Aid couldn't believe his luck. He had stumbled upon a treasure trove of priceless artifacts, and it was all because he had helped an old woman in need. As Aid admired his newfound treasure, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. He had always been a hard-working man, but he had never been rewarded for his kindness. Now, he knew that his good deeds had paid off in a big way. He was grateful to the old woman for giving him this opportunity, and he vowed to use his newfound wealth wisely. Aid knew that he had to act quickly if he wanted to capitalize on his good fortune. He took the coins and jewelry to a reputable auction house and was shocked to learn that they were worth tens of thousands of dollars. Aid was stunned. He couldn't believe that he had found such valuable items in a place like Lagos. He knew that he had struck gold, and he was eager to use his newfound wealth to improve his life and the lives of those around him. Aid decided to use the money to invest in his taxi business. He bought a new car and expanded his fleet, which allowed him to hire more drivers and increase his income. He also used some of the money to invest in his community, building schools and hospitals that provided jobs and services to the people of Lagos. Aid became one of the most successful businessmen in Lagos, but he never forgot the old woman who had given him the coins and jewelry. He visited her often, bringing her food and gifts. He also made sure that she was taken care of for the rest of her life. The old woman was overjoyed to see how Aid had used her gift to make a positive impact on the world. She had never intended to make him wealthy, but she was happy that he had used the opportunity to improve his life and the lives of others. As time went on, Aid continued to grow his business and make a difference in his community. He became a role model for other young Nigerians, proving that hard work, kindness, and perseverance could lead to success, and it all started with a chance encounter with an old woman who needed help crossing the street.